Good morning to you all. I hope you don't mind, I have to hold the script. Used to it, being a principal of a school. To Prof. Maraj, thank you for the opportunity afforded me to address all of you this morning. It is my pleasure to present a perspective on the challenges facing the deaf and outline some of the possible solutions that we at VNNSD School for the Deaf are working towards achieving. Ladies and gentlemen, the question that needs to be answered, who are deaf people? You see three of my learners here this morning. Who are they? And I think you would agree that deaf people are regular people, just like you and I. They have the same aspirations, failings, feelings, idiosyncrasies, like the rest of us. To those of us who are privileged enough to be working with them, we see the commonalities amongst us. To those unfamiliar with deaf culture, the differences are all too clear. The absence of hearing and the consequent inability to speak. But loss is overcome by a heightened visual retrieval of information, and speech impediment is compensated by the use of a fully fledged language, a visual language, sign language, as you'd see. Ladies and gentlemen, to demonstrate the capacity of our deaf learners, I invite you to sit back, relax, and to journey into the expressive world of the deaf as they entertain you with a choral verse entitled "The Wild Swans at Cool."
The Wild Swans at Cool. By William Butler Yeats. The trees are in their autumn beauty. The woodland paths are dry. Under the October twilight, the water mirrors a still sky. Upon the brimming water, among the stones, are 59 swans. The 19th autumn has come upon me since I first made my count. I saw, before I had well finished, all suddenly mount and scatter wheeling in great broken rings upon their clamorous wings. I have looked upon these brilliant creatures, and now my heart is sore. All's changed since I, hearing at twilight, the first time on the shore, the bell beat of their wings above my head, trod with a lighter tread, unwearied still, lover by lover. They paddle in the cold, companionable streams, or climb the air. Passion or conquest, wonder where they will attend upon them still. But now they drift on the still water, mysterious, beautiful. Among what rushes will they build? By what lake's edge or pool delight men's eyes when I awake someday to find that they have flown away?
Well, thank you for that applause. Just let me educate you a little bit. I'm a teacher, born teacher. This is how you applaud the deaf, by shaking. Lift your hands up and shake it. It's obvious that they can't hear this. Okay. I hope my learners entertained you well enough. Thank you to Mrs. Govender and Dramatic Arts learners. Incidentally, VNNSD School for the Deaf was the first school in South Africa to offer dramatic arts. Well, we started it at that time, commonly known as speech and drama, at matric level. Ladies and gentlemen, the crux of my talk today is the unemployment rate in our country. It's estimated that in our country, generally, the unemployment rate is at 40%. And amongst the deaf, amongst the deaf adults, it is a staggering 70%. Considering that we have approximately 4 million deaf people or hard of hearing people in our country. Some of the factors that we need to consider which has led to the high rate of unemployment amongst the deaf. Firstly, the inaccessibility of tertiary educations to deaf people, especially deaf people with matriculation certificate. Basically, these institutions do not offer the services of an interpreter. In addition to that, a note taker or a tutor, mentor. Therefore, we have a very few deaf academics in the country. Secondly, with regards to a language that you witnessed, sign language, the Department of Education only recently, after a court battle, has come up with a strategy for the development of a national sign language curriculum, which will be implemented in 2011. And only when this curriculum is fully implemented right up to matric level will the deaf meet the entry requirements into universities. You may ask a question, what is happening with our current learners? Currently, our learners sitting for a matric exam can only offer one language, and that is English, and that is English at the first additional language level. Characteristically, deaf persons employed in positions, menial positions, on factory floors, in production lines, they work extremely well. Extremely well in that they noted that their employers are quite satisfied with them. For one, they are focused. Remember that they listen with their eyes, unlike you and I. And they are not easily distracted as their hearing counterparts are. However, we have a challenge in that those persons who are employed in less menial positions with an even lower remuneration package considered it better to be unemployed stay at home, and live off a disability grant of approximately 1,080 rand per month. Well, that is the challenges. What we are doing at VNNSD School for the Deaf, we offer an academic program from preschool, going right up to grade 12. In addition to that, we also offer a skills program. A skills program for those learners who are vocationally orientated. There are some 44 schools for the deaf in our country, and only 25% of them offer a matric program or program going up to matric. VNNSD was established in 1983, and it's considered to be an innovator, a forward thinker, a leader in deaf education in the country. And over the years, we have recorded many notable achievements. The first one being that our early introduction of sign language as the mode of communication, mode of instruction, since the inception of the school in 1983. Through the introduction of sign language, we have forged confidence and communication capacity in all our learners. Our decision at that point in time to introduce sign language as the medium of instruction was a bold move, considering at that time it was uncharted territory in the old dispensation. Moreover, oralism was the method of choice for educating deaf persons, which was common in all schools for the deaf. In 1999, VNNSD once again pioneered the formalization of the teacher education diploma for the deaf in conjunction with the then Springfield College of Education. The program saw the successful graduation of 27 deaf persons who are now, all of them who are now currently employed in a school for the deaf across the country, across our country. Incidentally, I have two of the products of that program. Two of our learners who graduated as educators are now teaching at my school. Unfortunately, in 2002, at the end of 2002, the program was aborted owing to the closure of colleges of education throughout the country. With the segregation between basic and higher education, teacher education became the domain of distance learning. This made it even more difficult for the deaf because the content material as well as the resource material is in the written form, and you would agree with me today that the deaf learn best through the medium of sign language. In 1999, once again, we successfully negotiated the introduction of an IT diploma with the then Emil Sultan Technical College. And in order for this program to get off the ground, we as a school assisted the compiling of curriculum to suit the needs of the deaf, and we assisted in the employment of a full-time interpreter. Presently, the diploma is still running at the Durban University of Technology. There are 2 sign language interpreters employed there, and in KZN, this is the only program that's available to the deaf at a higher education institution. Probably asking, this guy is talking about another university at this university. Recently, we have forged a partnership with Prof. Miraj and his IT department. They have assisted us and provided a training program for my staff, and my learners will be coming back to university or coming to university a little bit earlier than they expected for their training program. I think it's taking place next week. The partnership also benefited the school in that through a network we managed to locate or get a sponsorship of 67 computers. For the future, we've already spoken and cards on the table insofar as the design and setup of a media center at VNNSD School for the Deaf. Prof. Muraj, thank you. Currently, we also have successfully implemented a Merseta program via the partnership with a training center which is called SheTech South Africa, and we have 25 learners in this learnership program. The benefit of which is on completion of their training, all 25 learners will be accredited as qualified welders. The accreditation will support the deaf in their integration into regular workplaces and prevent them from being marginalized and exploited. The partnership allowed for staff to be retrained and reskilled, which is of benefit to our learners. For the future, we also offer other training programs, for which the curriculum is developed at school. We offer them in motor mechanics, woodwork, hair care. You see a computer room there, data processing, cookery, art and craft, pottery, auto valet, garment making, etc., etc. We welcome partnerships with other CETA and accredited training centers and businesses. To those employers who are here, who are watching, you are all governed by an Employment Equity Act, and we invite you to meet your employment targets by creating opportunities for the deaf. Industry, commerce, labor, the visual and performing arts, hospitality industry, the beauty industry. As it says, come talk to us. We would be happy to facilitate a partnership, one that would be mutually beneficial. Once again, Prof. Muraj, thank you for the opportunity to address the House, and to all of you, thank you for your attention. Thank you.